I'ma give them that seed. Keep sowing, we growing. They gon' see the money we throwing. Step in your house, lot of bills on the floor. Like we in the strip club, don't trip. You ain't gotta take your clothes off, but you gotta put on these robes for the glow. In case you didn't know, cause I stayed in the scripture. Now you got the picture, now we in the frames. Ready for the game, better know I'm not lame. And I never been ashamed. Keep sowing, we growing. Blessings the only thing we throwing. Lot of things that you don't know that you about to know. Cause I'ma take you from Genesis all the way to Revelations. Come and get a plate, I got everything that you need to taste.
Blessings, family. Welcome to the journey. I'm Joshua, the Promised Land Consultant. It's good to be back with you while we're all making moves to this journey where we want to walk in our hopes, dreams, aspirations, the land of Canaan, what I affectionately call our promised land. And you know the topic and you know the motto that I say every single day when I get a chance to preach to you, which is I'm dedicated to serving you from sun up to sun down. Dedicated, family, to seeing you planted, growing, and manifesting in your promised land. And the conversation that we are going to have today that I believe can benefit you in your travels to that place where we all want to be, that place where we can operate at our highest and optimal performance, is dubbed none other than alignment in the spirit. If you remember our last topic from the last video, it was soaking in the spirit. Soaking in the spirit is getting to know the Most High and how He can bring you out of your bondage when you were stuck in Egypt. He shows Himself to you. He shows you who He is. He brings you out of that mess. And then He takes you into the wilderness. And the wilderness is that place where we get aligned with His will, which I believe is the 10 Commandments. You don't know the 10 Commandments, you don't know the Most High, because that's what the Most High decreed for us to walk in and for us to do. And the scripture that I like to pull and kind of chew on and digest when I'm thinking about the 10 Commandments and how it can help me improve my relationship with the Most High is John 14:21, which tells us, "He that has my commandments and keep them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved by my Father, and I will love him, and he will manifest myself to him." I love this scripture because it lays down the law in a sense of what we should be focusing on if we love God and if we love His Son, who will manifest Himself to us, which is quite simply, you need to know His commands and you need to keep them. You need to know His commands and you need to keep them, right? It's not just believing on the one who came, but it's knowing what He said, knowing what He wants you to do. Because how He walked His life before He died and rose again was He was walking in the will of God. He was walking in those 10 Commandments. He was walking in the Spirit and showing us how to walk it out here on earth and not be in the flesh, but to be in the Spirit. And we know that, in the blessed scrolls in the scripture, it tells us, for where your heart is, there your treasure will be also. And if you keep your heart in those 10 Commandments, if you keep your heart cemented in the things that the Most High has given for us to do so we can walk in the Spirit and not in the flesh, so we're not lost in those sensual desires that are here on earth, but we're focused on higher things, then that's how we know that we have love for God. That's how God knows that we have love for Him, because we're worried about heavenly things. We're worried about the Most High when we are in the wilderness and we don't have what we need. All we have is heat. All we have is the same food. All we have is a desert to look at. We're in a place of lack. We are in a place of little. We are focused on what the Most High wants us to focus on, which is His will, which is His commands, which is us being in the Spirit and learning to overcome our flesh. And alignment in the Spirit simply shows us when we're in the wilderness. Alignment in the Spirit teaches us which commands are our pain points, which commands we have difficulty keeping in line. certain commands that used to get me back in the day. And when you are in the wilderness, you learn how to align yourself. If you don't learn how to align yourself, that command will take you out. That command will be the end of the road for you if you can't learn how to control whatever it is that is pulling you down. And the command that you usually have an issue with, that you can't control, that you have problems with, is the one that had you in bondage when you were in Egypt. You might steal, you might be an adulterer, you might be someone that had idols. There's a list of things that may have had you in bondage when you come out of Egypt. And as you come into the wilderness and you're trying to align with the will of God, the 10 Commandments, what you're going to find is that the enemy strikes you in those places. The areas, the potholes, the places where the enemy tries to trip you up, so you stop your journey and go back to bondage, are going to be those places in the 10 Commandments that get you out of the will, that get you out of alignment, that'll make your ride shake, that'll make your chariot not drive straight. And it's not for anyone else to really carry with you. It's for you to know and for you to work on. That's why when you're in the wilderness, it's usually by yourself when we're talking about this spiritual wilderness that you're walking through. And if you don't learn to align with the Most High, you won't make it to your promised land. And where you will stay, where you will be lost in, where you will walk in circles in, is that God-forsaken wilderness where you don't have what you want, and you will drown in the regrets that wash over you. And that is a terrible place to be. Learn how to get out of these potholes. Learn how to not be a victim of the bondages that you left in Egypt. Don't go back to the comforts of Egypt that bond you and hold you and keep you where you shouldn't be. Learn to align with the will of the Most High by being in the Spirit, which is soaking in the Spirit, by learning to walk in those commandments. Family, that's the message for today. Is simply learning how to align with the will of the Most High when you're in the wilderness, because that's what the wilderness is all about, is learning those commands, loving those commands, and how when you might, even if you do hit a pothole, even if you have those moments where you're not driving straight, you stop, you check the damage, and you get back into the walk that you need to be in. Family, that's it for today. You know that I'm Just Ron, the Promised Land Consultant, dedicated, family, to serving you from sun up to sundown. Dedicated, family, to seeing you planted, growing, and manifesting in your promised land. Family, I pray when you're in that wilderness that you stick to those 10 Commandments, that you keep them in front of your eyes so you can walk in them, so you can be aligned with them, and you don't fall out with the Most High, but you stay filled with that Spirit that will carry you where you need to go, want to go, and where you will go, which is that promised land, the land of Canaan, where we all want to go, where we all want to be.
Ain't nothing we hiding. They gon' love the way we do it, how we sliding. Hey, slip, slide, give them everything they need. Take heed, you know that it's me. Young man, I'ma give them that seed. Keep sowing, we growing. They gon' see the money we throwing. Step in your house, lot of bills on the floor. Like we in the strip club, don't trip. You ain't gotta take your clothes off, but you gotta put on these robes for the glow. In case you didn't know, cause I stayed in the scripture. Now you got the picture, now we in the frames. Ready for the game, better know I'm not lame.